Welcome to On the Sidelines. John Luck, Brad McKinnon, Dom Damiano. Brad no longer sporting the hockey beard, the hockey jersey.
Had to bring it up. Had to bring it up.
Not getting another one of these behind me.
Next year, all right? Next year.
Dom's team is still alive, though.
Yeah, well, my team. I like them all. I'm just, I'm wagon jumping right now, I guess. They don't have Bruin enough shirts big enough to fit me. I get my old goalie shirt. That might fit me.
Yeah.
Does
it got the fighting straps in there, too?
It does.
Yeah.
Swear to God, it does.
So let's start off with what's leading off, and that is the Boston Celtics getting their first win of the Eastern Conference Finals over the Indiana Pacers. This is their third straight finals and the sixth Eastern Conference final in 8 seasons. They get the 133-128 victory, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how this happened, because there's a good conversation. Did the Celtics actually win this game, or is the story more the Pacers giving this game away, Brad?
The Pacers gave it away, in my opinion. You had Brown and Tatum. Yes, they were clutch in the last minute of regular and overtime, but they blew it a bunch before that. I mean, the defense on both sides was pretty good. I mean, Derek White's out there knocking people's hands when they're trying to take threes in the last minute. There's a few things you can definitely give them trouble about, but the Pacers should have won that game, in my opinion. They really should have. Yeah. I mean, Jaylen Brown shot with 5.7 left.
It should have never came to that.
No, it shouldn't have.
Right.
It shouldn't have. And I mean, for him to even make that, how off balanced he was and all that, you got to be happy that you paid him that much for a shot like that. You know, that was clutch. Oh yeah.
Right. If you look at it, I mean, we were up to 12-0 at one time, 22 turnovers totally in the game. And the lack of discipline from the Pacers and the veterans of the Celtics took over that game. That's how that ended up. But should have never come to a wild corner shot off the baseline. Never should have come to that. You should have been able to keep your composure. That tells you how good of a team the Indiana Pacers are. There's a reason why they're in the finals, and they proved it in that game. But then again, stupid, can't even dribble the ball into the Celtics offensive zone with seconds left, under 2 minutes left in the game, and it goes off your own foot because you're being overwhelmed by the defensive defender that's in front of you. That's discipline. That comes down to discipline. And that's one of the many reasons they lost that game.
I think that this is more about the Celtics winning the game, because you look back at last year or the year before that, I don't think Tatum and Brown come through in the clutch like they did in this game. You can talk about Jaylen Brown's big three-pointer, but Jayson Tatum coming up big with those 12 rebounds, and he's forcing his way to the free throw line, which is something he didn't do in the first, 4 or 5 years of his career. He'd always try to get those three-pointers. He'd try to get the big dunk.
Right.
He'd try and get those highlight reel plays. But now Jayson Tatum's getting into that experienced role where things aren't going your way. You're going through a scoring lull. There's no field goals in 3.5, 4 minutes. You force your way in. You know Aaron Nesmith is going to foul you. This Pacers team is ahead of the curve. They're, I think, probably 1 or 2 years away from being a true finals contender, the Indiana Pacers. But the Boston Celtics, give credit to Drew Holiday, give credit to Derek White. They realize what's on the line here, and Al Horford as well. They realize this is the Celtics' best shot at winning the NBA championship.
100%.
And Holiday, White, Horford didn't want to allow Brown and Tatum to go ahead and, whiz it all away. Taking stupid shots, turnovers. There was a costly turnover in the last couple minutes by Jayson Tatum. So despite Tatum and Brown kind of going through their own issues, give credit to Drew Holiday. 28 points, 8 times, 7 rebounds. 7 rebounds, but 10 of 16 from the field.
That was his best game on paper, wasn't it?
A Celtics season high for Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
I think his previous high was 18. But coming through with that championship experience, this is why Brad Stevens got Drew Holiday to come to the Celtics. And it's huge that he signed that extension because, it's going to be another 2 or 3 years that we're going to have Holiday's championship pedigree on this team. And hopefully by the time you get to 25 or 26, Tatum and Brown are going to finally figure out what it takes to be a true championship contender.
100%.
Oh, I agree. I think one of the other things you have to think about, you mentioned Holiday. He was the surprising factor, along with White, and I'm starting to lose my voice, and which John's going to love, and the ability of the Celtics. Like you said in the beginning of your statement, they're a seasoned team. they put on their big boy pants. They had no choice, otherwise they would have lost that game.
Right. They played great defense too that game.
They did.
I know I called out Derek White for that 3 foul, but how many times did the Pacers go up to the line? What was it, 8? They only had 8?
Pacers were 9 of 10 from the free throw line. Celtics 24 of 30.
In the before overtime though, do you have that stat for that? Because I think it was.
No, I just have the final
I think it
box
was
score.
only 6 attempts before that, which you don't see a lot in basketball. They played really good. I mean, both teams played really good defensively that game. It was very entertaining. I know we missed some of it, me and you, because we had the talent council
Other
stuff
obligations.
and all that, but
I was really impressed with Halliburton at the end of the third quarter when the Pacers made that comeback, because the Celtics were ahead by as many as 12 or 13. Halliburton coming back, hitting that tying 3 at the buzzer, that was huge. And to me, I think as this series goes on, Halliburton's going to have one of those games, I think, where he goes off for 40 or 45 points. And, it just comes down to how the Pacers use Siakam, Turner, Nembhard, using those other pieces around Halliburton to help you win. I think Rick Carlisle actually got out-coached by Joe Mazzulla. And that is weird to say with someone like Rick Carlisle and how long he's been in the NBA as a head coach. But, to kind of have that calmness from Joe Mazzulla, he didn't have to do much. Just kind of give Holiday, Brown, and Tatum the ball and say, go do your thing.
Yeah, all he had to do was put great plays in the right situation to win, and that's what he did. Again, maturity factor. Another year in the playoffs. You could, like you mentioned before, John, they're just seasoned now. They're at that point where but maybe last year, you saw the same thing with Paul Pierce when he first started his playoff run. He had to grow up. This team has grown up now.
Oh, they've
and
definitely matured.
And you mentioned about the defense, Brad. You could see that in the way they were playing defense, and they had to step it up. And as far as being out-coached, I think that was a coach. Any coach who has a basic idea how to coach that sport, whether it be hockey, basketball, baseball, and you can put the players in the right position to win, you will win. But again, falls back in the coach because he's the one directing it. So,
if you're the Boston Celtics right now, who's your number one player? Is it Jayson Tatum, who, as I mentioned, had 36 points, 12 of 26 from the field, or is it Jaylen Brown, who had 26 points and probably the gutsiest three-pointer we've seen in at least 10 years for the Boston Celtics?
Can I pick somebody else? Can I pick a sleeper? Is that all right?
It's all you.
I like White. I think White has yet to, he really didn't shoot, he shot okay, but I think as far as being a total player, defense and offense, and when he gets hot and he starts hitting those threes, watch out. He's
definitely the sleeper. He is. But when it comes to the big two, for game one, you have to go with Brown. You don't win game one without Brown. I know the stats are pretty close between the two, and I know Tatum probably had more rebounds and all that.
Right.
But how many threes did Tatum miss towards the end of the game? Threes that he might not even should have took.
Right.
I know Brown, maybe he shouldn't have took that, but at the same time, you have to take that.
Yeah.
No matter how off balance you are or whatever, you got to throw it.
I was waiting
up
for
there.
a foul. I was just waiting. If you watch the replay, the defender, I figured
it was close.
Oh my God,
it was close, man. That was close.
Talk about wearing you like a wearing
a
like
glove.
like a glove or a jacket.
Yeah, that was great defense by
all over.
Siakam.
Oh my God, that was beautiful.
So I'll say this. I think Jaylen Brown is the alpha on this team over Jayson Tatum. And it's kind of been a slow, steady progression here. But just seeing what Jaylen Brown has done for this team, off the court, kind of empowering his teammates before the game. You heard in the Cavaliers series where he was going up behind each player, rubbing their shoulder, saying, this is your game, let's batten down here, let's play some good defense. And what they do, they went out and played defense. Jaylen Brown isn't afraid to hit those dicey shots that I think Jayson Tatum in the clutch, he may kind of be nervous about taking these shots because he hasn't gotten one of those huge buzzer beater-esque three-pointers to fall.
Right. No, you're right. If you think about it, Brown's been hitting it and Tatum hasn't. And I don't know if it's because he puts all this pressure on him, being on national TV, saying I'm one of the best players in the world, where Brown just goes out and plays his game, has fun. And
he's a little bit more humble.
A little more humble, but he also puts, I think, like you said, about the clutch shot. He comes out when you need him to come out to take that shot. He proved it again. Again, that baseline shot off Siakam is unbelievable.
after the game, someone asked him about why this Celtics team, as currently constituted, can finish the job. And he said, more experience. It's definitely different. We're a lot older, and we've learned from some of those previous experiences. Everybody loves to say it's the same thing, same team, but each and every year we've learned. Each and every year we've gotten older, more mature, and this is a different mix. That's a sign of a true veteran-like leader, and one of the examples of why I think Jaylen Brown is the alpha on this team. And that's not to say Jayson Tatum's not a good basketball player. Obviously, he's one of the top, 15 or 20 players in the league easily.
Right.
But I think when it comes to maturity, I think Jaylen Brown may have just a slight advantage over Jayson Tatum.
Absolutely.
So,
I do agree with that, going off what you just read.
So the Celtics play every other night, which that could be interesting. Kristaps Porzingis rumored to come back for Game 4. That would be on Memorial Day night in Indiana. We'll take a quick break here. We talked about the Celtics winning Game 1, but for the Bruins, it's a wrap. They fall to the Florida Panthers. We'll talk about the Bruins' offseason to come here on the Sidelines.
My muscles ached. I was tired all the time.
My son had a full-blown asthma attack. It came out of nowhere.
The unsettling thing about some symptoms is
a fever, headaches.
you don't always know what's causing them.
It was Lyme disease from a tick bite.
A reaction triggered by cockroach allergens.
I had West Nile virus from a mosquito.
Threats to your health can come from unexpected places. Mosquitoes, ticks, and cockroaches can make you sick. Get the facts. Visit pestworld.org.
We come together here to talk about the Boston Bruins and the 2023-24 season coming to a close.
You look so upset.
They fall to the Panthers 4-2, and another season they don't make it past the second round. Did anybody really expect anything different than the Bruins falling in the second round?
I mean, a lot of people didn't even expect the Bruins to be better than a wild card spot.
True, yeah.
So in a sense, this season wasn't a failure completely.
Right.
But it wasn't what any Bruins fan wanted after seeing how we played during the regular season.
If you think about the skipper that they have, what they did last year and what they did this year, it's all positive.
Yeah.
You have a seasoned goaltender, right? And you got to find a better backup than what you have right now on the bench. But as long as they can keep this core together, maybe find maybe two more centermen, I think they're going to be all right.
I mean, I don't know about two more centermen because we got that Matty Patras kid, but we need a number one.
Right.
And I mean, statistically, believe it or not, Zaka and Coyle both did better combined than Bergeron and David Krejci last year, which it amazes me that even happened. Because, I mean, Charlie Coyle, great player. He just can't bury it. He can do everything else besides bury the puck. Zaka, he's up and down in my opinion. I'm not just saying Charlie Coyle's great because he's from right down the road, but Charlie Coyle, in my opinion, is a great center.
It'd be nice to get another solid player. It really would.
I mean, with $20 million on the cap,
Yeah.
I think we should be good. Yeah.
And then you hope they gel together, all this other stuff.
There's some really good unrestricted free agents, too, coming up. And
So my thing when we talk about the Boston Bruins is I have the salary cap here. You look at the top money earners for this team. David Pastrnak during the playoffs didn't do much. He had that Game 7 goal against the Maple Leafs, which was huge.
Yep.
But besides that, I mean, did he really have a big impact on the rest of the Maple Leafs series and the Panthers series?
No, he really didn't. And I mean, last year you can have the excuse that he hurt his shoulder, Game 1 versus Panthers. This year, there's no excuse besides the fact that Montgomery never put him and Brad Marchand out there together unless it's a power play. And if they were out there together on the power play, you had Pastrnak on the blue line. I know he found the spot right between the circles near the blue line where he was scoring a bunch this year, but when you're in the playoffs, you don't put Pastrnak on the blue line. You have him in his office, a.k.a. Ovechkin's office. That's where he hits his one-timers. I know people expect that, but that's bread and butter. Right. You don't have him on your blue line on a power play.
I was looking at a lot of the box scores. When it comes to the plus-minus, he was either a 0 or a minus.
That's terrible for a superstar.
No, it is.
This guy's responsible for about 13% of your cap hit for the 23-24 season, and all he gets you is 4 goals, 4 assists. Again, Game 7 overtime goal, that was huge. But someone like David Pastrnak making $11.25 million if you're talking about 2 series, I think you have to talk about maybe 5, 6, or 7 goals, or at least have multiple games where you're having 5 or 6 shots.
Or assists.
Or a couple apples, yeah, exactly.
He was indifferent for most of the postseason, and I think the same can be said for Brad Marchand. I understand he was out with the upper body injury. It was a concussion. And he came back early.
Right.
And still, 3 goals, 7 assists, averaged just over 18 minutes of ice time, the lowest since 2013. To me, this is a sign that this Bruins team needs to kind of have a come to blades moment.
Oh, they do.
Do you want to go ahead and rest your laurels on Brad Marchand, on Charlie Coyle, on Grzelcyk, on these older players?
Gone. I promise you, Grzelcyk's gone.
He'll
be an Avalanche. I'll put money right now. He'll be on the Avalanche next year.
I mean, unless both sides come together on a ridiculously cheap deal, which, I mean, that's possible. 1-year deal, kind of prove yourself. But still, do you go with that side, or do you go ahead and focus on, your Trent Fredericks, your Morgan Geekies, your Swaymans, the future? I think if you go with the future, you have to get rid of players like a Marchand or, a Pastrnak in a few years. Obviously, no one's going to take on, $13 million per for the next 5-6 years.
Right.
But you need to figure out where this team is going, because right now, at the fork in the road, you're kind of just driving straight into the tree.
Everyone always says we have no prospects, no young talents and all that. First of all, our best prospect, Lysell, you've never seen him on the Garden. You got Geeky, all these names you just said, the young kids they are showing that they can be developed and there's some potential there. I mean, we're not going to get rid of Brad Marchand. We won't. He'll be a captain 1 more year, and then maybe with his age, he'll do a team-friendly 1 more year contract. Maybe at most. I don't see that happening, but that possibly could. My dream right now, because I've heard there were rumors, and I've been saying this for a while, if Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl do not win a cup, they need to be broken up. They do. It's been so many seasons of those two together,
right.
And I mean, what team needs a goalie to win a Stanley Cup? The Edmonton Oilers. Jeff Skinner does enough, but not enough to get past the Western Conference any year. That's a very high want, but you got players like Lindholm, Elias Lindholm, not our Lindholm, who the center on Vancouver, who's going to be unrestricted free agent. Marchand, I mean, there's even Reinhart, the dude on Florida, who's going to be a free agent too this year. And when you have $20 million, you have to get one more superstar. You do with that money. And I mean, the saddest thing about the Bruins playoffs this year, and I know I had the jersey. I've loved this dude for a few years, but the past 2 years, I'm really pushing away from Jake DeBrusk. But he was our best goal scorer. And I believe he had the most points, too. I don't think he had the most assists. I think Marchand somehow had that, even though he missed a decent amount of games. But I'm pretty sure Jake DeBrusk almost had the Triple Crown. I think he was one underneath assist.
Yeah, and, he made himself some money.
Two of them were open nets. I believe 2 goals were open net goals, but still, you're sinking them. How many open net goals did other players miss,
Right.
And
the other thing we're forgetting about is we basically can agree the superstars are Marchand and Pasta, right?
Yeah.
We're not giving enough credit to even though they beat them, the Toronto Maple Leafs to take Marchand and Pasta out of the game. And then when you have the Florida Panthers involved, which has more talent and really gelling better than, of course, Toronto is, now they're taking Pasta out of the game. Marchand's hurt, now he comes back. By the time that happens, you can't catch up and the series is over.
Right.
So the Bruins do have $21 million in cap space to work with. And let's say we break up that goalie hug tandem that I joked about earlier, that could get you another $5 million. So realistically, this Boston Bruins team could have $26 million in dead cap space available to use on a pretty interesting free agent class.
It's going to be hard to get rid of Ullmark because Don Sweeney loves giving away the no-trade clauses. But I really hope the Oilers are not a part of that because, like I said, Leon Draisaitl will be a Boston Bruin next year.
Yeah.
But I don't see Allmark being a Bruin next year. Thank you for your great season last year. You won the Vezina, and you stood on your head the whole year. But if you didn't just watch what Jeremy Swayman did in the playoffs, all these sports analysts, even Toronto fans, all these people that you wouldn't think would say Jeremy Swayman was the best goaltender during the playoffs, they're still saying that. I mean, you have Ottenberg on Dallas, which people can argue with. But if you just look who Jeremy Swayman faced, the offensive talent and what he has done, his goal percentage and all that, he's our future, and it's 7 by 7.5 to 7 by 8.5, without a doubt, for Jeremy Swayman.
Right.
He's not going to do a team-friendly contract because of aberrations last year.
Right.
But you are going to see a big 7 by 7 to 8.5 for him.
I could see that. And then the other thing is, like you mentioned about other hockey fans around the country, around in Canada, he stands like a sore thumb. The guy's a legit goaltender.
I mean, you got the national anthems going, and he's not being disrespectful, but he's out there getting ready. You can tell he's ready for the game, you know?
He was laughing after each save, and there was a fight. You just see him skating away laughing.
He's even pounding up the other team like, good shot, but hey, look, you can't get past me. I'm a brick wall.
So you mentioned some of the free agents. I have some of the notable guys here. You mentioned Reinhart, Jake Gensel from Carolina. He's a free agent, made $6 million this year. You have names like Patrick Kane, probably past his prime, Tyler Bertuzzi, Cam Talbot, Ilya Samsonov, Joe Pavelski. The list goes on and on. Max Domi, Vladimir Tarasenko. There are names out there. The thing that concerns me is if you're Don Sweeney, you have potentially $21 to $26 million in cap space available. Do you go ahead and pull one of these moves where you're like a kid with a gift card and just spend it on every little thing? Or do you make it worth your while? You talked about that $7 or $8 million per year contract for Swayman.
That's going to happen, without a doubt. It is. So let's minus off that at least $8.5 million right now.
Yeah, so you're looking at maybe $12, $13 million, give or take, which, I mean, this team could make some damage or do some damage, but
you can get two really good players with $12 million. You can.
So a quick yes or no here. Everyone's coming back. Montgomery, Sweeney, Charlie Jacobs already said that. Right call or not the right call?
I think right now it is a right call, considering how they went from last year to this year, how they're progressing, and they're just getting better. But like you talked about, they got to get some more talent.
Sweeney, no. Everyone else, yes. Sweeney, every year besides this year, he's great on the trade deadline. But like I said, he loves giving out these no-trade clauses, and he can't draft. I mean, yeah, we got Pasta 14th. McAvoy was a good draft, but look, go back to 2015. You have 3 in a row. The only person you have left is Jake DeBrusk, and he's gone. He is, without a doubt. I mean, look at all the people under him. Connor, forget his last name right now, I'm blanking, but he was on the Jets. His numbers are double what Jake DeBrusk are. You had Matt Brazal after him. You had all these big names after him. And
so I'm a no for both. I think if you're going to clean house, just do it all together, top to bottom.
I mean, you need winners running the team, and I know Wayne Gretzky's the reason why those guys never won Stanley Cups, but you need some winners in there.
I think the worst thing, if you do clean house, now you're starting from scratch, and you're praying to God these guys can be professionals and they can get something going.
We have the buzzer coming next.
I'm Ferdinand. You look at me and think big. You think scary, but I'm a little misunderstood. Funny. Sorry, I almost killed you. Involvement misunderstood. I'm not a fighter.
I don't understand that at all.
Kids with learning and attention issues like dyslexia and ADHD are misunderstood too. Take the time to understand.
Best plan ever!
With the right support, everyone can reach their full potential because you can't judge a bull by his cover. Learn more at understood.org.
Back here, time for the buzzer, and we'll talk about the Boston Red Sox as Rafael Devers made a little bit of history, becoming the first Red Sox player to hit a home run in 6 consecutive games. It has been done in as many as 8 straight games by 3 players, Ken Griffey Jr., Don Mattingly, and Dale Long of the Pittsburgh Pirates back in 1956. But setting a Red Sox record, a big thing to do, especially when you're up there with the ranks of a Ted Williams. Was this a highlight of the 2024 season?
So far, yes. In 50 games, I'd say yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a highlight by the end of the year, just because it's historical. Look at the 3 names you just listed off. You know, Devers is now in there, which is pretty freaking big, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And you think about the last guy to do it, it was Mike Trout back in 2022. He did it in 7 straight games. In today's game of baseball where you have all the pitching analytics, it's just as easy to go ahead and intentionally walk Devers 4 or 5 times and you work your way to the likes of a Dominic Smith and you can beat the Red Sox that way. But I give credit to the Rays for continuing to pitch to him, and the same thing can be said for the Cardinals because they didn't have to pitch to Devers. You can work your way around the likes of a Devers or a Willie Abreu or a Tyler O'Neill.
No, you're right. Absolutely correct. I mean, you just explain. I'm keeping my answers short, and I don't want to get in trouble. But no,
if you talk more than 3 minutes, your voice is going to go anyways. So.
That's true. But no, you're right. You got to play the game. You got to play the game of baseball.
And the Red Sox starting pitching, I think that's been the story so far. And how many times they pulled this team out of the fire. You go back to the last game against the Rays. Brian Bayo, he gave up 3 early runs. The Red Sox come back, score, I believe it was 8 unanswered. He got the win, fortunately, but still, I think the Red Sox pitching is important, but I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs. And when you're a team that doesn't make the playoffs in as early as mid-August, things like this, hitting a home run in 6 straight games, that proves to be a highlight of the season.
It really does. It really does. But again, 50 games, we'll see what happens at the All-Star break.
At least our owner's not saying, hey, we're not going to make the playoffs already, you know.
No, that would mean he'd actually have to show up to work. But,
Oh, yeah.
you can continue to get great takes like these on the full 1-hour show available on YouTube. We're also on the radio, WBBF 1530 AM and 99.7 FM every Friday at 11 a.m. We'll be back in studio this Friday and every Friday after that. If you're not near a radio, you can download the TuneIn app and search WVBF, and you can call in, you can argue with us, you can make fun of Dom's voice probably going by the time we get to the show. But every Friday at 11 a.m., WVBF 1530 AM, 99.7 FM, we have Overtime coming up next.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why?
Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this.
You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately.
That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better.
Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Hey, guys.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Had to watch through bar windows. I
can't imagine that.
We were in commercial break, and you almost went off on those fans because how do you spend $200 for tickets, leave in a 12-point game in the conference finals, and just, basically throw away your money?
At most, at the end of the game, the Pacers were up by 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
Have you never watched basketball before and understand how the last 2 minutes of a game can go? I know it was full of turnovers on both sides at the end, but look what happened. You guys blew it. The fans, you blew it, and you deserved for it to be pouring out when you were staring through the bar windows. You do. You really do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's one thing, it's over 10 points. All right, see you later. Try to beat the traffic that you're not going to beat in general anyways.
Exactly. No matter where you're at, you're not going to beat that traffic.
No, you're not. You're not. You might as well just sit there and take it all in. You paid for it. Why are you leaving?
That's how I am. I'm staying to the very end. Like I talked about when I used to go down and see the Patriots play the Dolphins. I'm there all till they can still crap me because Patriots lost, but I'm still staying there until the
dust settles.
Exactly, exactly correct. I'll probably buy another beer with a minute left in it, go back, finish it, and I'll admire everybody as they're leaving and hey, how's it going? Drink my beer and wait for everybody to leave.
Of all the teams to do that against, basically blow a 5-point lead, the Indiana Pacers, who, let's not forget, had one of the most epic comebacks in NBA history in the playoffs against the New York Knicks back in the mid-'90s. There's been something about the Celtics fans and kind of the state of the fans in the past 5 or 6 years when we get to the playoffs. And you've heard people say the real Celtics fans aren't there. And I'm kind of in that camp. I mean, I don't know if it's the audio from ESPN, but it just doesn't sound like the Garden I remember from the Isaiah Thomas days, or even going back to the 08 Celtics days. These are season ticket holders. These are people who can afford the $400, $500, $600 seats, and they just want to be there, get their rally towel, get their T-shirt, get their foot-long slice of pizza, which is all cool and good, but when they see that their team needs them, it's like trying to draw blood from a stone to get the crowd to make noise.
It's disgusting. I mean, last year I went to the Eastern Conference Final Game 1 with my nephew, and it wasn't loud. And I go to a one-game A series for the Bruins at least, and I lose my voice every time because I'm trying to get everyone loud. I'm standing up. I'm one of those guys, and no one's like that. And I know we're talking basketball, but look at Canada. Have you ever watched a Canadian hockey playoff game? You can't even hear the announcers talk, It's like, why can't Boston, we're the sports city, the best sports city. I'll self-proclaim that right now. We are.
We're spoiled.
And we're 100% spoiled, but why are our fans so quiet? I mean, when I go to my Bruins games, I hate sitting down low in the loge. I will sometimes, and I mean, I'm not going to repeat what I've called other fans besides the fact that I've called them rich yuppies. What do you guys do? Why do you guys go there? Half of them don't even stand up and swing the towel when we score. It's like, guys, you're supposed to be the sixth man in both the sports. Both basketball and hockey, you're supposed to be the sixth man.
We talked about this before about how we have all these major franchises, 5 professional teams, and maybe we are getting spoiled. Maybe it's come to the time where, we think we're better than everybody else, and we expect to be there. We used to do that with the Celtics. I mean, the Celtics in the 80s, and my mother would tell me stories about the 60s and the 70s, how they used to win back-to-back world title, and Red Auerbach was the main reason for that, the draft.
And there were only 8 teams in the NBA at that point.
Well, it might have been just 8, but you know what? When push came to shove, the Celtics won, and everybody else lost. Right?
Sorry, louder outside our studio than it is at the Garden for
I mean, you're not wrong. And it's one of the most upsetting things for me as a sports fan whenever I go there, how quiet the stadiums do get. I mean, even when stand up and shout, when that happens, you don't even get people standing up.
Right.
You're supposed to get loud. You're supposed to want to pump the people up next to you, I mean, the last game I went to, luckily versus Florida, I was up top 2 rows back in that whole section. I had the whole place going,
Yeah, but you seem like the type of guy, if you're at the game, you're cool, you're into it, you might have some in you, but you're not rude and obnoxious. Where you have those other guys, where they go overboard and they're obnoxious, and you're like, dude, don't wave that effing towel in front of my face. I know what's going on. I want to get up, but I want to watch the game. Like when I'm in the load seats, which I love, I'm watching the game, watch it go down, all that, and then I get into when they score, if they make a. But then you have like again, you're a regular fan, but you have those other guys that go above and beyond, and I think that's what scares people away.
Yeah. Let's not forget about the moment I think that compares best to this. I think it was 2012, San Antonio and Miami in the NBA Finals, and all of Miami, being the South Beach fans they are, in the fourth quarter with about 2 minutes left, leave. They make a little comeback. Ray Allen hits I think it was a game-tying 3, might have been a game-winning 3. But they went to break, came back, they're in the outside of the arena. You see all the fans of Miami trying to get back inside. And that's, I mean, it's to a smaller degree, but that's kind of the vibe I got watching the people leave in the fourth quarter of the Celtics-Pacers game.
I mean, you deserve not to get back in if you leave. I don't care if you paid for your tickets. If you walk out of that building when you see no re-entry signs in the first place,
right?
Like I said, I wish it was downpouring like it is right now at the end of that game for those fans that had to watch from outside of bar windows.
And Luke Cornett did try to make light of the situation. My favorite Celtics player of all time, Luke Cornett, as we know on YouTube. Speaking for myself, Luke Cornett, and for my family, I know the 8 o'clock start time can be a little late. Kids wake up about the same time. You understand everyone's making sacrifices to be there. I mean, it was like a tough situation, but that's just basketball where you can take 1 or 2 plays and be able to sneak out the win. So within that statement, he tries to, do a little tongue-in-cheek there with the fans, but then also say, you know what, sometimes you got to sit in your seat for the last couple of plays of the game because you're going to miss one, perhaps a franchise-altering three-pointer.
Yeah, he was really classy the way he said that. Like you basically broke it down to the point where, people, we don't know everybody's lives. Everybody wants to go to the game. We know we're staying, right? We're going to stay to the final horn. But then, unfortunately, these people have small kids. Why would you bring a younger baby? That's why I don't like that when they put the earmuffs in the kids and it's really loud. That's another story for another episode. Yeah, right.
Stanley Cup final.
But it is what it is. I mean, again, you cleaned it up. You cleaned up what you just read perfectly. But again, it is what it is. I mean.
So we'll stick with basketball here as we continue in overtime. We talked about the Eastern Conference Finals, but let's talk about the other big story in basketball, and that is Caitlin Clark in her first week of the WNBA season as a WNBA player. Her team, the Indiana Fever, are 0-5, losing their first 3 games by double digits. Now, it should be worth noting that they lost the first 4 games to the Connecticut Sun and the New York Liberty. Both teams are undefeated. The Liberty, I believe, were in the WNBA Finals last year. The Sun were in the WNBA Finals a couple years ago. But Clark, through 5 games, averaging 31 minutes a game, 18 points a game, 5 assists, just under 5 rebounds a game, and shooting 33% from the three-point line. Is it fair to say that it's been perhaps a slump of a start for Caitlin Clark as a WNBA player?
100%. It has. And I mean, welcome to the league is the best way to put it. Get used to it. You gotta step up. You're supposed to be the one that's gonna help promote this league immensely.
Yeah.
And you're showing up how you are. I mean, as you just said, they played some pretty good teams. You can't win them all, but you're in the league now and start preparing for it. I mean, how about that pick when she ran into the lady and she just got smothered? You gotta be paying attention. You gotta have your head on a swivel, and you gotta be ready to play every game.
As far as a rookie goes, as play devil's advocate, I think she's doing great for a rookie. But the thing that's killing her are those stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
She's playing with the best college kids in the country that's forming this league, and she's still putting up 18 points. So that's not too bad.
Oh, it's not horrible. I'm not saying she's doing horrible because, like you just said, she's a rookie, and you got to get used to actually being in the league. But like, with the name that she has, you got to do a little bit better. You do.
A lot of people and a lot of players have that Indiana Fever game circled because obviously you're playing these games now in NBA arenas that seat 15 to 20,000 people, and they're just about sold out every time Caitlin Clark takes the court. She's obviously had a profound impact on the first week or so of the WNBA season, playing in the 3 highest viewed WNBA games of all time since 2002. And Caitlin Clark and the Fever aren't going to beat the likes of the New York Liberty right off the bat against Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. That's not going to happen. But I think a lot of people have to kind of have these tempered expectations. She's not going to go out and score 25 or 30 points a night. The WNBA isn't that type of game. You're talking about these players who don't get paid a lot of money. Obviously, they look at a player like Caitlin Clark who has all the headlines, all these endorsements for millions of dollars, and they want to prove themselves against a talented player like Caitlin Clark. So she has to expect, and the Fever have to expect, every night that you're facing an opposing team, you're going to get that team's best. It's almost like facing the Boston Celtics. You're facing some of the top players. You want to go ahead and prove yourself. You're 0-5, but you're also a measuring stick team. And for Caitlin Clark, you're a measuring stick player already 5 games in.
18 points. He's only a rookie. And you hit the nail on the head again. I can't believe I'm giving you all this pats in the back today. But
I know my sports. What can I say?
Well, exactly. Well, that, and you did a lot of good research. She is getting it done for a rookie. Again, what you mentioned about these other teams come to play when they see her. But she might be. We don't know. Next year she could average 25 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
But right now at 18 points as a rookie, like you talked about that pick, which was funny as hell. But she wasn't paying attention. She's putting on her big girl pants now, or whatever you want to call it, and she's learning as she's going.
Yeah,
And she's only going to get better.
Like I said, you're not going to, and you just said this too, you're not going to do 25, 30 points every game.
Right.
But I don't think she's paying attention, like you just said too, again. When it comes to these plays, you're running right into someone. You gotta get the basketball IQ a little bit more, because you have more basketball IQ. Maybe she's nervous. Maybe it's the nerves with her, because
a lot of pressure on her.
She is gonna be a generational talent for sure.
A lot of pressure on her.
And it's a rough start for her, and you don't like to see that, because you do want to see these leagues build.
Right.
And it's great to see both the basketball, the hockey, these female sports taking off. It's great to see that. But I'm not saying she needs to put the league on her back, like a lot of other people have said, but she's going to be a big part in developing that sport.
Absolutely.
She is.
I think coming up in early June, they play Chicago. That's a team that has Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese, 2 rookie players that were part of that epic WNBA class that Clark was a part of. That's going to be an interesting game, and I think that's one where Clark could probably take off for that 25 or 30 point masterpiece.
It could be. I mean, we'll find out.
So we were talking before the show, Dom. We had this slated in the first part of the show, but I figured I'd give you overtime, a relaxed atmosphere.
Here we go.
Mike Breen, the legendary play-by-play voice of the NBA on ESPN, has called countless NBA finals. He was the voice of the Celtics' 21-point comeback in 2002. And we all love what Mike Breen does, except for one person on set.
The fat guy.
That one, not this one. That one.
So Mike Breen used to work for Imus in the Morning back in the day, and all he did was crap all over them. All the Patriots named, ha ha ha, and Imus used to love it. And at the time, I was paying so much money to pick up that signal because they didn't have a legit morning show. Every time Michael Breen mentioned a Bruins score, a Red Sox score, a Celtics score, a Patriots score, he would pick on him to no end. So now, remembering all that, I'm listening more to his play-by-play, to his little end-to-windows. Oh, what a great play by the Pacers. Oh, and what a great shot by the baseline by Brown to tie the game. You can just hear the little
favoritism.
Yeah, it's terrible. He's a jerk. He's an absolute jerk.
I don't like either in basketball or hockey the ESPN announcers. I don't. I really don't.
I mean, I know. I mean, I do it with in high school. I do it. You try to. The other team's doing good. I did it in hockey, where the team's out, doing better. So you mention all the good. You know how you do it. You try to mention, okay, this team's actually out skating us, whatever. And you mention some of the things going on. It's play-by-play. It's broadcasting. But every time he's in the Celtics or a situation to do it, I don't know. He kills it.
So I'll just give my 2 cents before we go to break.
I know you love him.
I do like Mike Breen. I mean, as a Celtics fan, I don't pay attention to the broadcasters unless it's Mike Gorman. But ESPN caught a lot of flack for the New York favoritism in Game 7 on that Sunday afternoon against the Pacers. Perhaps this is trying to make up for it in a big way. The audio was a little wonky, so I don't know if that maybe had something to do with it, just the level of excitement they had. But I want to look at Brad Shirt for a second and Jack Edwards, who worked for ESPN for all those years. Jack Edwards doesn't exactly have the best record of opposing players like Pat Maroon and any Montreal Canadiens player. It's play-by-play. You're supposed to be excited. You're supposed to stick up for the underdog. And, I mean, I have no issue with Mike Breen, but I just want to give you a...
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay, well, on that note, we'll take a break. When we come back, I want to rank NBA announcers, but we'll play Rank 'em as we rank ways to get to a game, Boston coaches, and much more here on the Sidelines Overtime.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? And now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Cool you off a little bit after getting heated over that Mike Breen take.
I needed that, thank you.
So we're going to play Rank 'em. We're going to rank the top 3 or 4 things for each category I give. First thing we're going to start off with is the NBA Conference finalists with the best chance of winning the championship. So we have Boston, Indiana, Minnesota, and Dallas.
Best chance of winning the championship?
Yep, 1 through 4, 1 being the best.
I mean, I think
we're all going to be pretty biased on
right,
one,
and I am going to be biased.
But I think it makes sense why we're going to say.
And they're a mature team, and once they get the big guy back, like all bets are off, and we're going to win a world championship.
So, we want to do 1 through 4 right now.
1 through 4, rank them.
Celtics. Hate to say it, because I hate Kyrie, and I really hope he does not step foot in the Garden if we make it to the finals. But Dallas, Pacers, Wolves.
I'd go with that.
That's how I'm going to go.
I'd go with that, absolutely.
If Dallas ends up playing the Celtics in the finals, I hope
that streak better continue.
I hope
Kyrie
Luke Cornett's
losing.
the one walking around with the sage stick in the Garden before the game. So I would go Celtics, obviously, number 1, duh. Number 2 for me, I'd actually put the Timberwolves. I think that Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals was a bit of a fluke. Between Ant-Man, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, I think that they have enough balance outside the three-point line, but in the playoffs, more importantly, inside the three-point line. And I think they were just nervous Game 1 against the Mavericks. They could come back and win by 30 in
look how close
Game
of
2.
a game it was, too. It was, I mean, both Game 1s I feel like were kind of flukes.
Yeah, Gobert got hosed on that offensive interference call. That should have been a basket.
Yep.
Number 3, I actually have the Indiana Pacers, and it's for this reason. The depth pieces I talked about earlier, not just Halliburton, but Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, and Aaron Nesmith, if he's not in there trying to hit a cheap shot on players and take them out, he's actually a pretty good bench piece. And then number 4, I have Dallas because I still think that at some point in these conference finals, Luka and Kyrie, that could spontaneously combust.
Well, that's where they belong, is below. Even though I said they're second. Yeah. I love Luka. I do. And I think, there are 4 really talented young kids that one of them is going to get their first ring. And I'd rather see Luka if it's not us. I know that sucks because I can't stand Kyrie ever since he stomped on Lucky, but...
Next up, we have the current Boston coaches. Obviously, we have Alex Cora, Jim Montgomery. We'll throw Mayo and Belichick in, I think, together because we haven't seen Gerard Mayo yet as a Patriots head coach, and then Joe Mazzulla for the Celtics.
You want to know who's the number?
Rank the top 4.
All right, so I'm going to go with the Bruins coach first because, again, I love the way they, they lost.
Look what they did his first year in the regular season.
Exactly. I'm going to give he's number 1. Mayo's going to be number 4 because he's not proven at all. Then I would go with Alex Cora because I was not expecting the Boston Red Sox to be 2 games above 500. I was expecting them to be 5 games or 7 games under 500.
He's brought rings to town too.
Yep. So I'd go Bruins, Red Sox, Celtics, and then the Patriots.
If we're keeping Bill Belichick out of this, I am the same exact order as you. And not because I love the Bruins, but just because what Jim Montgomery did last year. I know we had Bergeron, we had such a more developed team.
Right.
But when you set the record books, it doesn't matter. I know we lost in the first round of the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. But what he did on his first year after all the denying and this dude's just, you get what I'm saying.
Yep,
You know?
absolutely.
I'm with you completely on
absolutely.
this one, Dom.
Well, I'm not with the two of you. Number 1, Alex Cora.
Yeah.
Number 2, I put Jim Montgomery. The tiebreaker there is 2018.
The ring. Yeah,
The ring.
I get that.
Montgomery, we know about the 7-game collapse, but you think about what he did to kind of go and cause that collapse. All those changing of the lines, kind of second-guessing himself. And he had the pieces there. He had the tools to make a successful team. It's just, I call it, he out-Belichicked himself. He kind of outsmarted himself, and it ended up burning himself. Number 3, I have Joe Mazzulla, because realistically, I think I said this last week to you, it's like taking a test drive with a Corvette.
Yeah.
You know, I could coach the Celtics team, and we could probably get to, pretty
the
far in the
second round,
semifinals.
probably.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All that talent, absolutely.
This is all, I think the success of this year's Celtics team can be thanks in large part to Sam Cassell and Charles Lee. And then number 4 is Gerard Mayo, just because obviously.
We haven't seen anything
Right.
yet. Yep.
And then the best way to travel to a game, I'm going to have you rank your top 3. And this comes after the traffic issues the night of Game 1 of the conference finals. The president was in town. You had graduations taking place. People were telling Celtics fans to take the T to the Garden. So let's use the T, ride-sharing apps, or car for the best way to get to a sporting event in Boston.
So I'm going to put ride-sharing app at the bottom.
Okay.
Because it's the same thing as driving, but you have someone else driving you. I'd rather be driving myself. I mean, when I go to the games, I don't drink because I get so loud. I get a headache the next day. So I'm driving myself no matter what.
That's awesome.
All right. And, I mean, from where we live in Bridgewater, you can't get home on a train.
Right after a
You
certain
can't.
time.
You can get to Braintree, but you can't get back to Bridgewater on the commuter rail by the time most of those games are over. I mean, you might catch the last train.
Yeah, 11:55.
But good luck getting there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably best walking from the Garden to Cell Station to get there on time, but good luck. So, me personally, drive, train, Uber.
I agree. If I'm gonna have someone drive me, I'm gonna get a little bit more rowdier and and enjoy. Try not to get too stupid, which sometimes it's hard to do. But anyway, enjoy it that way. You know what I mean? I'm driving there. I'm there.
At least
I'm in
you're
control.
in control.
Yeah.
Exactly. You are in control
Right.
when you or your friend are driving.
Right. And then if they're gonna take me, that's it's one of those nights.
So I'll plead the fifth on this one. So I would say the train actually I think is the best option because, let's say you're going to a Celtics or a Red Sox game. You have 4 Green Line trains and, talk about what you want with the MBTA, but on game nights, they actually move those trains along and they can actually get, 25, 30,000 people through the turnstiles very easily.
When they want to run the MBTA correctly, they will,
But if you think about it, and again, if you're driving, you're allowing time for dinner. So I'm there way ahead before the game starts. I'm walking through, around the Garden, grabbing something to eat, and there is really no traffic.
Yeah.
People, the second shifters are going into the city, and you can find it then coming out. Like I said, I'm waiting till the game's over. There's basically nobody on the road because they all took off probably like 2 minutes before the game ended anyway.
And finally, this Tuesday, May 28th, is International Burger Day. So besides cheese, give me your top 3 hamburger toppings.
Top 3. I love barbecue sauce. I love hickory barbecue sauce. That's it. That's all I mean, that's top 3. Mustard, ketchup, I guess.
All right, so ketchup probably number 1. Barbecue sauce is up there for me. That might be number 3, though, because I'm a weird guy and I love pickles, and I'm going to put pickles at number 2. I like the extra texture with the pickle.
That's why you blend it with the screw so good.
We didn't take this long to think about the conference finalists issues. But anyways, I'm going to go with, I do like barbecue sauce on a burger, so I'll go with that. Pickles and grilled onions. That's a sneaky good topping.
I thought we were just going like for flavor.
Hey,
I'll definitely do. I want to take back the mustard and ketchup and keep the barbecue sauce, and I'm going pickles, extra onions.
Hey, you don't get this figure just eating salads.
I don't know about that.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.